Today I'm going to show you guys how to make Auntie Anne's cinnamon sugar pretzels. You want to start off with 1 1/4 cups of warm water. Add 1 tablespoon of yeast, 1/4 cup brown sugar, mix and set aside. In your mixer bowl attachment, you want to add 3 1/2 cups of flour. And after letting your yeast mixture sit for 10 minutes, go ahead and add it in, and you want to knead your dough for about 5 minutes. You want to add your dough to an oiled bowl and let it rest for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, flour your surface, and you want to create 9 dough balls. Then you want to cover your dough again with a towel and let it rest for another 5 minutes. Once your dough has rested, go ahead and roll it out. Here I'm demonstrating how to twist your pretzels. You want to boil a pot of water with 1/4 cup of baking soda. Once your water comes to a boil, go ahead and boil your pretzels for 30 seconds on each side. Add your pretzels to an oiled baking sheet, and we're going to bake at 400 degrees for 8 minutes. While they were baking, I prepared my cinnamon sugar and melted some butter. And finally, I brushed them with the butter and dipped them into my cinnamon sugar, and we're done. Today we're making super easy Philly cheesesteak quesadillas. You want to start off by prepping your veggies. Here I have half of a small onion, half of a red bell pepper and green bell pepper, 5 cloves of garlic, and I only ended up using 2 of the mushrooms. Add either olive oil or vegetable oil to a pan. Saute your onion and garlic, then you want to go ahead and add in the rest of your veggies. Once your veggies have cooked down a little bit, add them to a separate bowl. And now you want to cook your choice of thinly sliced steak. Once it's cooked, go ahead and add in your veggies. And we're going to season with salt, black pepper, garlic and herb seasoning, as well as onion powder. Mix and take off the heat. You can make about 3 quesadillas with this recipe, so go ahead and get your tortillas ready. Here I just added some mayo and then added it to a buttered pan. Top my steak with some provolone cheese, fold it over my tortillas, and we're done. If you're a buffalo lover, this is going to be the best grilled cheese you've ever made. Today we're making buffalo grilled cheese. Here I have 2 shredded chicken thighs in a bowl. I'm seasoning with black pepper, oregano, paprika, garlic salt, as well as onion powder. Adding in some chopped scallions, about 1/4 cup of mayo, and buffalo sauce to taste. Go ahead and mix all of that up. You want to butter both slices of bread only on one side. With buttered side down, you want to add your bread into a skillet on medium heat. Add cheese, your buffalo mixture, and some more cheese. Add your second piece of bread with buttered side up. You want to flip your sandwiches once your bread is slightly golden and has created a nice crust. And we are done. If you would like the recipe written out, it will be on my Instagram later today. Today we're making garlic butter and herb stuffed crust pizza. For the dough, we're using the recipe that's in most of my videos, but I went ahead and recorded it for this video as well. You want to start off with 2 cups of warm water, 2 tablespoons of yeast, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 2 cups of flour, cover with a towel and let it rest for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you want to add 3 more cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of dry milk. The dry milk is optional, by the way. 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/3 cup of olive oil. Knead your dough for 10 minutes and it's ready to use. Go ahead and flour your surface and add your dough. Cut 4 equal parts and create them into dough balls. I like to roll out my dough pretty thin. If you like your pizza to be thicker or fluffier, you don't have to roll it out as thin as I did. Add your rolled out dough to an oiled pizza pan. You want to leave about 1 inch of your dough hanging over the edge. Add your cheese sticks and cover with the extra inch of dough that we left on the edges. Here I have garlic and butter mixed together, and I'm brushing that all over my dough. Adding a thin layer of sauce, you don't need a lot, as well as some shredded mozzarella. Don't pile on your cheese, you still want to see the sauce coming through. I added garlic and herb seasoning to the crust and baked at 400 for 10 minutes. We are making chicken and waffle sliders. This is the perfect thing to make if you're having a little dinner party or a brunch, so let's get right into it. Here I'm adding 2 cups of flour, a heaping tablespoon of cornstarch, a little bit of baking soda, along with all of the seasonings that I'm showing here. I'll list them in the comments for you guys, but my Instagram already has the written recipe up if you're interested. How many seasonings you use really depends on how spicy you want your chicken, so keep that in mind as well. Give that a good mix, then we're going to go straight into our buttermilk mixture. Here I'm adding 1 cup to 1.5 cups of buttermilk, along with some garlic, salt, black pepper, and an egg. After you're done with that, then we're going to go ahead and get straight into our chicken. I use chicken thighs for this recipe, and to season I use the juice of half a lemon, paprika, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, and drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. Now go ahead and give that a good mix. We're going to take our chicken thighs right into our buttermilk mixture, like so. Then straight from our buttermilk, we're going to add it to our flour. Now you're going to fry your chicken on medium heat for about 8 minutes. Get your waffles ready and cut them into individual pieces. Stack your waffles in your chicken, and you're done. Today we're making Olive Garden's breadsticks, but 10 times better. And if you want the recipe for the chicken gnocchi soup, it's in my last video. But to get started, you want 1 cup of warm water. You're gonna add 2 teaspoons of yeast, 3 tablespoons of sugar, mix and set aside. In your mixer bowl attachment, you're gonna add 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons salt, and 3 tablespoons olive oil. After you let your yeast mixture sit for 10 minutes, go ahead and add it in last. You want to knead your dough for 10 minutes, add it to an oiled bowl, and let it rest for 1 hour. 1 hour later, you want to dust your countertop with some flour. Pat your dough ball down gently, and you want to cut out 10 breadsticks. You're basically going to cut them into long strips and then cut the long strips in half. And you want to roll them out very very gently, tapering the ends. The less you touch them, the better they're going to come out. We're going to cover with a towel and let them rest for another 15 minutes. Add them to an oiled baking sheet and we're going to brush on some egg wash. For my egg wash, I only use 1 egg and 2 tablespoons of water. Bake at 365 for 10 minutes. Brushing on 5 tablespoons of melted butter, a tablespoon of garlic powder and dry parsley, and we're done. Today we're going to be making Nashville hot chicken sandwiches. It was so fun to make in my opinion, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it as well, so let's just get right into it. Here I have 4 clean chicken thighs. In a bowl I added 1 cup of flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and a teaspoon of baking soda. I seasoned with a tablespoon of onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, paprika, chili powder, and cayenne. And lastly, about a teaspoon of salt. I mixed everything together and set it to the side. In another bowl I added about a cup of buttermilk, 1 egg, and about a 1/3 cup of hot sauce. You want to dip your clean chicken thighs into your buttermilk and then into your flour. And you're going to repeat one more time just to ensure that our chicken is nice and crispy. You want to let them sit on a rack for 10 minutes before you fry them. Here I'm just adding mayo, mustard, and honey to my coleslaw. Mixed and set it to the side. I also made homemade buns for this video as well, but didn't have enough time to record it. Fried my chicken on medium heat for about 8 minutes. And here I'm making the hot oil coating for our chicken. I'll list all the ingredients in the comments for you guys. And to build our sandwich, I added some spicy mayo, pickles, our chicken, brushed our coating on top, our coleslaw, and we're done. The full written recipe will be on my Instagram tomorrow. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the perfect homemade brownies. You want to start off by grabbing a bowl and we're going to sift in 1 cup of flour, as well as a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, sifting in a 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon espresso powder mixed and set aside. In a clean bowl, we're going to add a 1.5 cups of sugar, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk, 1 1/2 sticks melted butter unsalted. Add your dry ingredients into your wet ingredients and add about a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. Mix everything together, then you're going to prepare a baking sheet with butter. Add your brownie batter and we're going to bake at 350 for about 30 to 40 minutes. If anyone was wondering, the size of my pan is 8 by 11, but after you take them out of the oven, let them cool for 10 minutes and enjoy. Today we're making the Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster, but 10 times better. They're super simple to make and taste incredible. So to begin, you want to add 2 cups of flour to a bowl, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 2 teaspoons baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, as well as onion powder and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. You want to whisk all of your dry ingredients together. Now here I have 1 stick of cold butter. You want to knead your flour and butter together with your hands. You can use a stand mixer if you'd like, but I know a lot of you guys don't have one, so I'm trying to be mindful of that. But you want it to resemble a sand-like texture. Then you want to add in 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, a handful of parsley, as well as 1 cup of buttermilk. You can also use regular milk if you'd like. Mix until everything is well combined, then grab a baking sheet, spray with oil, then you want to plop on a large spoonful onto your tray. You don't want them to be perfectly round, so don't worry about that. And you want to bake at 400 for 16 to 18 minutes. Finish them off by brushing on my butter mixture, and you're ready to enjoy. Full written recipe will be on my Instagram tomorrow. Today we're going to be making homemade monkey bread. If you've never had monkey bread before, it's extremely addicting but also really easy to make, so let's get right into it. We're going to start by preparing our dough. Here I'm adding 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of yeast, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 cups of warm water, as well as 3 tablespoons of dry milk and 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. You're going to mix everything together, cover with a towel, and we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you want to add in 3 more cups of flour, as well as 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to knead our dough for 10 minutes with a dough hook. You can also knead your dough by hand if you'd like. Add your dough to a floured surface, pat it down gently, and we're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces. Now that we're done with that, we're going to mix up some cinnamon sugar. Also in a separate bowl, and a 1/2 cup of melted butter. Added it to the bottom of my cake pan. Coated my dough into my cinnamon sugar and plopped them in. Once your cake tin is full, you're going to bake at 350 for 50 minutes. Flip over your monkey bread, and I like to dust mine with some powdered sugar. And you're done. It's that easy and you're ready to enjoy. I promise you, if you make this mac and cheese on Thanksgiving, you're going to wow everybody at the dinner table. So today I'll be showing you guys how to make the best homemade mac and cheese. You're going to begin by adding 4.5 cups of heavy cream and 4 ounces of cream cheese to a saucepan, and let that come to a simmer on stovetop. We're using penne pasta instead of elbow macaroni. The ridges on penne allow the sauce to cling on better, which results in more flavor in each bite. But here I'm sauteing 1 small onion and about 6 cloves of garlic minced, and 1 stick of melted butter. I added about 2 tablespoons of flour and let that cook for a little. Then I added in our heavy cream mixture. Then for our cheese I added shredded cheddar, pepper jack, as well as freshly grated white cheddar. Seasoning with a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and salt. Mix everything together well, then add in your pasta. I ended up adding in a little bit of turmeric just to give our pasta a nice color. Then you want to add half of your pasta into your baking dish. Layer on some of our cheese, and add on the rest of our pasta, more cheese, finishing off with Italian breadcrumbs. Baked at 350 for about 25 minutes, and we're done. I'll be posting another mac and cheese recipe next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Today we're making ratatouille. I was scrolling through the Likewise app because I was bored and didn't know what to make. They recommended ratatouille probably because I'm obsessed with Disney movies, but while I was watching it I remembered how badly I wanted to try it when I was younger. So today I tried to make it to see if it was worth all the hype. And honestly, it was really easy to make, so I'm going to show you guys how I did it. You want to start off by prepping your veggies. You want to thinly slice 2 yellow squash, 2 zucchinis, 6 Roma tomatoes, as well as 1 eggplant. For our sauce, I minced 1 small onion, 6 cloves of garlic, and 2 bell peppers. I sauteed them for a few minutes in some olive oil. Seasoned with a teaspoon of basil, red pepper flakes, salt, and black pepper. Added in 16 ounces of tomato sauce. I let that come to a simmer, then added in my veggies. I topped it off with about 5 tablespoons of olive oil, garlic powder, salt, basil, and fresh parsley. You want to cover with tinfoil and bake for 1 hour. Take off the tinfoil the last 20 minutes, and you're done. For more movie recommendations, check out Likewise, link in bio. Today we're making matcha snickerdoodles. If you're a matcha lover, you're going to love these. They came out amazing. I've gotten so many DMs asking about the matcha bar matcha, so I wanted to make a recipe out of it for you guys. Here I'm starting with adding 2 sticks of room temperature butter, 2 eggs, a cup and a half of sugar, as well as a tablespoon of vanilla extract. You want to mix everything together. Now I'm sifting in 2 cups and 3/4 of flour, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon baking soda, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of matcha. Mix everything together until well combined. We're going to form our dough into balls and roll it in cinnamon sugar. You want to prepare a baking sheet and bake at 350 for 15 minutes, and you're done. They came out amazing, but if you want a stronger matcha flavor, I suggest 2 tablespoons of matcha. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the perfect mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving. We're going to be making garlic and herb mashed potatoes. To begin, I peeled, cut, and washed 6 potatoes. You want to fill a large pot with some water. Add your potatoes in, and I also added in about 6 cloves of garlic to boil with my potatoes. Let them come to a boil and you want to time it for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you want to drain your potatoes. Here I'm adding in about a half a cup to 1 cup of heavy cream, a half a stick of butter, 2 tablespoons of sour cream, a teaspoon and a half of dill, a teaspoon and a half of garlic powder and salt, as well as some freshly chopped chives. Kept my potatoes pretty textured because that's the way I like it, so I didn't mash them too much. I plated my mashed potatoes, topped it with some more melted butter and chives, and we're done. I'll be posting a recipe for smooth mashed potatoes next week. Today we're making Olive Garden's Up with Toscana soup, but 10 times better. This is my take on the soup. It's not meant to be exactly the same, but I wanted to share it with you guys. I started off with prepping everything that I needed. Minced 1 small onion, 6 cloves of garlic, and I also cubed 3 russet potatoes. Here I'm cooking some turkey sausage in some olive oil. Once it was cooked, I put it into a separate bowl. Once you've removed your sausage, you want to add a stick of butter. Saute your onion and garlic. After they sauteed for a couple minutes, you want to add in about 3 cups of chicken broth. Throw in your potatoes. You want to let it come to a boil, cover, and time it for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you want to add in about 2 cups of heavy cream. Seasoning with a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, red pepper flakes, salt, and black pepper. If you want the same look as the original soup, skip this next step. But I mixed some water and cornstarch together and added it to my soup. This is going to make it more creamy. It's just the way that I like it. You want to add in your sausage and about 2 handfuls of kale. I ended up adding another teaspoon of each seasoning, but finished off my soup with bacon and Parmesan cheese, and you're done. I was experimenting in my kitchen again, and these cookies came out absolutely insane. Definitely the best cookies that I made so far, and I can't wait to share the recipe with you guys. You're going to start with cutting a half cup of cold butter. Also adding in 1 cup of white sugar. You want to mix until it creates a sand-like texture. Then we're going to add in 1 egg and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Mix again, and then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 3/4 cups of flour. Add in a half a cup to 1 cup of chocolate chips, and walnuts are optional. Add your cookie dough to a prepared baking sheet, and we're going to bake at 350 for 15 minutes, and we're done. If you're sitting down, please get up and make these. I promise you won't regret it. Today I'll be showing you guys how to make buttery garlic knots. We're going to start off by grabbing a bowl. Add 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons yeast, as well as 4 tablespoons white sugar, 2 cups of warm water, and 3 tablespoons of dry milk. The dry milk is optional, by the way. You want to mix and cover for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're going to add in 3 more cups of flour, a half a cup of olive oil, as well as 1 teaspoon of salt. You want to knead your dough for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, flour your surface and pat down your dough. You want to cut your dough into strips, and then we're going to cut them again in half. We're going to roll out our dough very gently and then tie it into a knot. Make sure to not pull on your dough while tying it. We want them to stay nice and fluffy. Add your dough to a prepared baking sheet, and we're going to brush on some egg wash. Bake at 350 for about 10 to 20 minutes or until golden. While they were baking, I melted 1 stick of butter and added 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and fresh parsley. Brush them on top of your knots, and we're done. Today we're making Cane's chicken tenders, but 10 times better. If you want the recipes for the Texas toast and the cane sauce, they're already up on my page. But for the chicken, you want to marinate it in buttermilk, 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. For at least 1 to 2 hours, overnight is preferred. Now in a separate bowl, you want to add a cup and a half of flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch and a teaspoon of baking soda, a tablespoon of onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, salt, and paprika, and 1 cup of Italian breadcrumbs. We're going to take our chicken from our marinade and dip it into our flour, dip it into our buttermilk mixture, and then into our flour again. Let them rest on a rack for 10 minutes. Fry on medium heat for about 6 to 10 minutes or until fully cooked, and you're ready to enjoy. I obviously served it with my cane sauce, the homemade Texas toast, and some fries, and the written recipes will be on my Instagram throughout the week. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the Cane's famous sauce that we all love. It's extremely easy and all you need is a half a cup of mayo, 1/4 cup of ketchup, 1/4 teaspoon Worcestershire sauce, a half a teaspoon of garlic salt and black pepper, as well as 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Mix and you're ready to enjoy. If you want the recipe for the Texas toast, it's already up on my page and the chicken will be up later today. Today we're making Cane's Texas toast, but 10 times better. You want to begin by adding 1 cup of flour, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, as well as a half a cup of warm milk to a bowl. Mix and let it rest for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you want to add in 6 eggs, 3 1/2 cups of flour, a half a cup of sugar, as well as 2 1/2 teaspoons of salt. Now while kneading your dough, you want to add in 16 tablespoons of room temperature butter. Knead your dough for 20 minutes, add to an oiled bowl and let it rest for 1 hour. After 1 hour, add half of your dough to a floured surface. It's meant to be very sticky, so don't worry about that. Cut into 6 pieces. Flatten down one of your sections and fold your bread over itself. Flatten down one more time and then roll very tightly. Here I'm showing you how to make a brioche loaf. For the Texas toast, I recommend using a wider pan like I'm showing in the next clip. You don't want your dough to touch the sides. It's going to allow our bread to bake in the right shape. I just lost the clip of me adding it in. You want to brush on egg wash, add sesame seeds, and bake at 375 for 30 minutes. And we're done. Today we're making pretzel bites as well as homemade cheese sauce. The dough is only 4 ingredients, so they're super easy to make and extremely delicious. You want to start by adding 1 1/4 cups of warm water, 1 tablespoon yeast, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, mix and set aside. Here I'm adding 3 1/2 cups of flour. After letting your yeast mixture sit for 10 minutes, add it in. Knead your dough for 10 minutes. Add your dough to an oiled bowl, cover and let it rest for 20 minutes. For your cheese sauce, you're going to start with 6 tablespoons of flour and butter. Cook on medium heat until it cooks into a nice golden color. Now you want to add in everything that I'm displaying on the screen for you guys. Mix and this is how it should look. After 20 minutes, uncover your dough. Add to a floured surface and pat down gently. We're going to cut it into strips and then into bite-sized pieces. Let them rest for another 5 minutes and then we're going to boil in a pot of water and 1/4 cup of baking soda. You only want to boil them for 30 seconds on each side. Add to a prepared baking sheet, top with kosher salt, and you want to bake at 400 for 8 minutes. Brush with butter, serve with your cheese sauce, and you're done. This apple pie is perfect for Thanksgiving. It came out so delicious, and even better, it came out extremely beautiful. We're going to begin by peeling 12 apples of your choice, as well as cutting them into wedges. You want to add the juice and zest of 1 lemon into a saucepan. Add your apples, 1 cup of brown sugar and white sugar, 6 tablespoons of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 to 3 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of cardamom, as well as 2 teaspoons of honey and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Mix and make sure your apples are well coated. You want to cover and let it simmer on medium heat for about 15 minutes, making sure to stir every 3 minutes. I didn't have enough time to show you guys the pie crust recipe, but I already had some made. Added it into my pan, added my filling, make sure it's completely cooled, layered the last of my pie crust, brushed it with some egg wash, topped it with some white sugar, and baked at 350 for 40 to 50 minutes. And we're done. This is probably my favorite recipe that I've posted for my Thanksgiving series so far. It just came out so beautiful, it made my entire day. Today we're making barbecue chicken calzones. We're going to start off by making our dough as always. Add 2 cups of flour to a bowl, 2 cups of warm water, 2 tablespoons yeast, 4 tablespoons of sugar, and 3 tablespoons dry milk. Mix, cover with a towel, and you're going to let it rest for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, add in 3 more cups of flour, a half a cup of olive oil, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Knead your dough for 10 minutes, and then we're going to separate it into balls. I made about 14 of them. You don't need to let this dough recipe rest, by the way. Here I'm cooking 6 chicken tenders, seasoning with onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, salt, and cayenne. Once your chicken is fully cooked, go ahead and shred it. We're going to add 2 cups of barbecue sauce and 6 tablespoons of melted butter. You want to roll out your dough, add your chicken and mozzarella cheese. I twisted mine closed, but you can use a fork if you'd like. Add to a prepared baking sheet and you're going to brush some egg wash on them. Bake at 350 for 20 minutes. Here I have 1 stick of melted butter, fresh parsley, and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. Brushed it on top of my calzones once they got out of the oven, and we're done. Full written recipe will be on my Instagram next week. This is the best French toast you'll ever make. Strawberry cheesecake stuffed French toast. I started off with 2 eggs, added a little bit of heavy cream as well as some cinnamon. I added a lot just because my fiance likes a lot of cinnamon, but then I went ahead and got my cinnamon sugar ready. Then onto the filling, I added a half a block of room temperature cream cheese, powdered sugar to taste and set that to the side. Cut up some strawberries as well. Now to our bread, we're going to add our filling and our strawberries. Add another piece of your bread on top. Here I'm pinching the bread together, but honestly after making it, you really don't have to do it. Add your toast to your eggs and then into your cinnamon sugar, and you want to cook on medium heat until a nice crust forms. Here I'm adding some homemade whipped cream, some more strawberries and syrup. And this is also everything that I served it with. I made some za'atar bread, eggs, bacon, sausage. And here's my fiance giving you guys a little taste test. His reactions to everything I make him just make me so happy. It makes me love cooking for him that much more.